it did! I forgot about that! Oh, shit. Okay. Hey everybody, Colton here with a question from Vince. Vince writes, Colton, are you as nervous as I am about Spider-Man Brand New Day actually sticking the landing? I see what you did. Sticking the landing? Was that on purpose? All right. After this news that Kevin Feige left Amy Pascal in charge and has solely been focused on Doomsday and Secret Wars, I'm really concerned that we're about to get a very Sony Spider-Man movie. I don't think you mean that in a complimentary way, right? And I see you attached an article here. Let me get that open. Okay, the headline of this article, Kevin Feige has reportedly been focusing solely on next Avengers movies. What does that mean for Spider-Man? And this article is by Josh Wilding. We just did a video with an article by Josh Wilding. So let's take a look at some quotes that I think are in this article. And then we'll discuss your concerns about if Feige had much involvement in Brand New Day and if his lack of involvement could spell doom for the movie. I have thoughts, but let's read these quotes. So here's a quote from Deadline's Justin Kroll. He explained that Feige has narrowed his focus in a bid to get the MCU back on track, which is great to hear because one of my main criticisms of the multiverse saga is they did way too much stuff and they spread Kevin Feige way too thin. So I'm glad to hear that his focus is focused. Here's the quote. Feige has been so stretched thin with the TV shows and all these other things, and then maybe doing a soft reboot, all these things, the reporter shared. He has been solely focused on this and Secret Wars for like a year straight. Like this has been it. That might be bad for Spider-Man Brand New Day, but that is great to hear for Doomsday and Secret Wars. Feige puts Jake Schreier as the Feige put Jake Schreier as the director of X-Men. Okay, so he was involved in that decision, right? And I believe he was also involved. I read another thing saying that he was involved in the casting of Sadie Sink. But other than that, he's kind of let Amy Pascal, who is she's pretty much over the Sony Pictures and like all the Spider-Man stuff and their Venom stuff, Morbius stuff, Craven stuff. But she was also over the Raimi stuff, which did really well. So, the 6, 7. She has her pros and cons, as we'll talk about. He's let Pascal handle a lot of the Spider-Man stuff, Kroll revealed. He's focused on this return. He's focused on this return, so just know that he's in London all the time. If that dude has a mindset on just one thing like he used to back in the day with Iron Man or Thor, they turn out good. It's when he has like 8 other things that it gets a little tougher. Okay. I don't believe it. I don't believe that Kevin Feige, Spider-Man Brand New Day is an extremely important movie because it leads straight into Avengers Doomsday. Now, at the time, for a while, when these movies were being made, leading right up to them being made, Spider-Man Brand New Day came out after Doomsday, but even then it's an important movie because it was going to be sandwiched between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, does Kevin Feige think Spider-Man Brand New Day is as important as Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars? No, and for several reasons. One, it's just not. Avengers movies are going to be more important for several reasons, one being that they are 100% Marvel Studios movies that are owned by Disney. Now, the Sony Spider-Man films are Marvel Studios movies, and they do get a cut as like the production studio that is making the movie. But they do not get, Disney does not get the box office for that. And Kevin Feige answers to Disney. So yes, his focus is going to be more on those 100% Marvel Studios movies, and they are just the bigger movies. It's more important that they perform well from a franchise perspective, from a monetary perspective, just all around, those are more important. But I also think that he is not going to be okay. He is very protective of his baby, especially when it comes to letting Sony, he's been very guarded about what Sony can do, like with their shared character of Spider-Man. Like he didn't let that Morbius and Craven and all that shit get in there. Let Venom get in there a little bit, but why? Because Venom was so beloved and people actually liked Venom. And let's not get it twisted. Some people go to extremes on here. Some people think that Kevin Feige has full control over the MCU Spider-Man. He does not. But some people also try to say that Amy Pascal and Sony have full control over the Sony Spider-Man. They do not either. Now, if they wanted to pull out of their sharing deal with Marvel Studios, if they wanted to pull out of that deal, then sure, they can do that or decide not to renew it. And then, of course, yes, they do have full control. So if that's what you mean by full control, sure. But when they're working together on a movie and it's a Marvel Studios production, Kevin Feige has a lot of say over those movies. Does it make me nervous if he said, you know what? I have to be more hands off with Spider Man Brand New Day because I really got to focus on Doomsday and Secret Wars? I guess it makes me a little nervous because he's so brilliant, but at the same time, I don't want him stretched thin. I hope that he put in people that he really trusts to stick the landing. Like you said, I think in your question, I hope he puts people in that he really trusts to do the right thing, and maybe he's developed a better working relationship with Amy Pascal. Remember, when he first approached Amy Pascal about bringing Spider-Man into the MCU, she threw a sandwich at him because he suggested, why don't you just let us do it? Just let us do Spider-Man. Because she was thinking, oh, we'll bring in, our Andrew Garfield franchise and we'll get all that working together. And when he suggested, why don't you just let us do everything, she didn't like that. So their relationship has certainly come a long way. We've seen them, work together on the Spider-Man movies. They've had great success. We've heard recent reports that Sony is more open to sharing their villain characters or just their other like Spider-Man adjacent characters that they have rights to. I have a hair stuck to my nose. Ah. That they're more open to sharing them with Marvel Studios and having them appear in the MCU. They obviously have a pretty good working relationship because Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is in Brand New Day. Frank Castle, Punisher, John Bernthal's Punisher, who's an MCU property, is in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm thinking that Feige, more than just letting Pascal run things, I think he also has a good working relationship with the director who is it Destin Daniel Cretton? He did Shang-Chi and he's doing Brand New Day, right? I think that he trusts that director big time because he did so well with Shang-Chi. I think that he has probably laid down the importance of that Brand New Day be very good and not fall into any of the Sony nonsense we've seen, like where things aren't so good, like with a Madam Web or a Craven or a Venom: The Last Dance or Morbius, all of which those movies, if those movies had come out in like 2006, man, I would have been all over those fucking movies, but they just don't work today. Anyway, does it make me nervous? Yeah, I guess a little. Would my preference be that Feige just had like this unlimited time to put his full attention on all of these projects? Sure. But it's also important. Like, look, him and the Russos work well together. So it's also good to have a good working relationship. He can't do everything. And even if he could do everything, maybe that wouldn't be what's best. Because, look, I love Kevin Feige, but it's a two-edged sword, right? You could say that his lack of involvement in the multiverse saga, or his involvement being spread so thin that there's an overall lack of involvement in each project, you could say that hurt it. But also, he's involved and he makes the decisions, right? So the buck stops with him for some of the shittier stuff that we've gotten. Now you can talk about how before Bob Iger came back, and I'm no big Bob Iger fan, but he's better than Bob Paycheck, who put like the money people in charge and demanded, oh, we need lots of shows for Disney Plus. We need put out more stuff. And that's really what hurt them there. But look, I trust Feige to understand the importance of Brand New Day. Yes, he understands the importance of Doomsday and Secret Wars even more, and that's why his focus needs to be there. But I think he also understands the importance of Brand New Day for the franchise overall, and how that movie, if Brand New Day does well, look, like I said, now Marvel Studios does get a little bit of the cut of the box office for the Spider-Man movies, but that's not their main reason for doing the Spider-Man movies. They want the Spider-Man movies in the MCU and to do super, super well, not because of the money that they'll get from the Spider-Man movie, but because of how that bolsters the brand of Marvel Studios, the MCU, and people loving Spider-Man and being excited to go see Spider-Man in another movie. an Avengers movie or whatever and excited to just see MCU movies. That's their main, like, that's why Disney is even okay with this deal in the first place, because it helps their bottom line. So I think that Feige is fully aware of that, of course, and I trust that it's going to turn out okay. I think Brand New Day is going to be a pretty good movie. I hope. All right. Thanks so much for the question. All right. Hey, everybody. Colton here. And this one comes to us from Lewis. Lewis writes, "Hey, Colton. First of all, big thank you for all of your content covering Doomsday and Spider-Man." Well, thank you. I felt kind of checked out of the MCU, but you've sparked my interest, and I'm right back at it with looking into theories and rumors. It is fun, right? I kind of, I do this for a living over on Screen Crush, and we do theory videos and stuff, but they're more like, like in-depth, like analysis type things. It hasn't been since the Infinity War days that I've really just, sat down and ran my mouth for, 10, 15 minutes about fun theories and what we want to see in the movie, and it's not scripted or anything. So yeah, man, I'm kind of, you guys are getting me excited about it as well. He continued, "Second of all, hope you've had a great time away at the theme parks you're at. After the amount of videos you've done recently, you deserve some time off." Well, thank you. You're of course referring to, I don't know when you guys are seeing this video, but I haven't gone yet. We're taking the family. We're all going to Florida. We're going to Orlando. We're going to do, some Universal parks, some Disney parks. And we're taking the kids to do that. I think they're going to have a good time. And, I'm not like a Disney adult. No shame if you are, but I will admit I'm kind of excited to do like the Star Wars stuff at the Hollywood Studios, whatever. That's gonna be fun. Anyway, let me continue with your question. That's not why you guys are here, right? Or the question is why you guys are here, right? Your question is, "I would love to know your thoughts on the speculation that Spider-Man will briefly have organic web shooters and may also grow some extra limbs and turn into man spider. I'm personally not a fan, but I'm always open to an idea if someone can explain the comic lore better." And then we have rumor from, okay, this is where you're getting it from. There's a rumor from Alex Perez at the Cosmic Circus that Spider-Man will become Man-Spider during the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Peter would have a meltdown with his powers, which would generate temporarily organic spider webs, and this would lead him to mutate into a creature. In the comics, the transformation appeared when Spider-Man went to the wildland and was subjected to an experiment, but this mutation was more popular with the 90s animated series. That's where I know it from, where it curiously involved the X-Men and also Punisher. Oh, he did! I forgot about that! Oh, shit. Okay. Look, I do think that we are going to see Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man, get organic webbing. In the leaked trailer, we see him like in a cocoon. I think Shathra is the villain. I think that's who Sadie Sink is playing, and she's like hunting spider, like she hunts, the character of Shathra hunts spider people across the multiverse. I do think we are going to see Peter Parker Spider-Man, and with Brand New Day still being a film in the multiverse saga and the previous film having been so multiversal heavy, I do think we're going to see some ramifications, and maybe they bring in Web of Life and Destiny and that kind of stuff. And I could see Peter evolving, his spider powers evolving, and him becoming ever more connected to that Spider-Verse. There's this whole lore to like how all the spider people are connected, and they even touched on that some in Madam Web. And so yes, he could get that organic webbing. That would be a great continuation of what they did in No Way Home with Tobey Maguire having the organic webbing, right? So that'd be cool. And yeah, I have not read the comic where he turns into Man Spider, but I have seen the Spider-Man the Animated Series episode where that happens, and Peter's like going through a crisis, and he mutates into like a full-blown spider. Look, man, I don't know if I want to see that or not. I don't know if I want to see him turn into like a full-blown like mutated spider. I think it might just be a little much. Look, well, I nerd the fuck out if it happens and we see like Punisher and the Hulk fighting like this giant mutated spider that's Spider-Man. Sure. But I think it's a little much. So yeah, I do think that he is going to get his organic webbing. I think, and with Alex Perez, a somewhat reliable leaker, saying that he turns into Man Spider. Maybe briefly. I just hope they do it right. Maybe he becomes like a servant to Shathra or something, and that's why they have Frank Castle, Punisher, and Hulk in there to like, fight him back and get him back to being just regular Spider-Man, and he keeps his organic webbing after that. You just have to handle it right. Like, what does that look like? Do they have him turn into a full-blown like mutated spider creature, or do they just have Peter like grow extra limbs, which would also just be kind of weird to look at. I'm going to read what he said one more time. The rumor is from Alex Perez is that Peter would have a meltdown with his powers, which would generate temporarily organic spiderwebs, yes, and this would lead him to mutate into a creature. Oh, wait, so he doesn't say Alex has revealed that Spider-Man. Oh, well, it says we'll become Man Spider. Well, is that what he said then? Because that's the headline, right? What he actually said is that he'll mutate into a creature. I think it's going to be a softer approach. Maybe he gets a little crazy, a little rabid. His powers, he's trying to understand them. He's going through a crisis like with MJ and all that. But I don't know that they have him turn into the full spider. Maybe like in his mind or something. We get a cool moment like where Shathra is in his mind and we see him mutate into like a spider. That would be cool. And if it's happening in his mind, then it's cooler. Or like he has a nightmare that he turns into the spider. That would be cool. But to have him actually mutate into it, I don't know about that. All right. Thanks so much for the question.